I was really lucky to have kind of a found family in Shepherd. I remember my parents didn't come to my capstone, but in the front row was you and Dr. Sherbet and Cantrell. I'm going to get so emotional because it's really powerful for me.
Today on Shepherd Stars, Brianna Maguire, class of 2018, and the Chief Operating Officer of Carewell speaks to Dr. Heidi Hanrahan, Professor of English and Assistant Dean of Interdisciplinary and Integrative Studies, about her time at Shepherd and how it prepared her for the career she has now.
Hey, Brianna, it's great to talk to you. Just wanted to start by asking you if you could tell us what it is you're doing now.
Yeah, so today I'm the chief of staff for a company called carewell.com, which is an e-commerce site for family caregivers. So basically what we do is try to make it really, really easy to find the products and information that you need to take care of your loved ones at home. So, there's the Amazons and the Walmarts of the world that have all the products, and then there's the nursing homes that have the information, and nobody's kind of talking to each other. Mm-hmm. What we do is provide like a really curated catalog of products. And then what's really cool is we have a team of highly trained customer service specialists. So they can spend 10 minutes, an hour, 3 hours, I don't really care, on the phone with a caregiver, helping them figure out like, what is all the stuff I'm going to need to take care of my mom when she gets home from the hospital? How do I put these products on her? How do I talk to my doctor about certain things? So we're kind of unique in that way. And then as the chief of staff, I do everything really. So I came into Carewell when I think I was employee number 4. We now have about 120 employees. So I worked in customer care for a really long time. So I built up that department and how we think about QA and training and forecasting and staffing and budgeting and all of that kind of stuff. And then once I laid kind of the foundations there, moved into this chief of staff role where I'm doing similar work across the organization. So like, foundationally, how do we add products at scale? Foundationally, how do we think about email marketing at scale? Foundationally, how do we do all this stuff? And then also a big part of what I do is just make sure that there's really good cross-functional synergy. So if merchandising is adding a certain amount of products, we got to make sure that customer care is training their team on their products, that marketing is marketing their products, and that content is writing articles about those specific products. So that kind of cross-functional work is a lot of what I found myself doing. And then as chief of staff, there's also just a lot of like people work. So what are the skills that we think make someone really succeed at Carewell? How do we train our team up around those skills? How do we do hiring and recruiting really well to make sure we're bringing the right people on board that contribute to our really unique and special culture here? Mm-hmm. And so I've been doing people work, and then just like a bucket of just everything else, right? Like any kind of big initiative that needs somebody on it. I tend to try to own that as much as my CEO lets me. And then she'll constantly be like, stop doing so much work, like try to think more strategically, but just a lot of different kind of like high level initiatives across the organization.
That's wonderful. It doesn't sound that different than the kind of work you were doing when you were here, where it was, if there was a big project to take on, we knew you could handle it. We're going to talk more about some of the connections between the work you're doing now and your work as an English major. But I want to ask you first, could you talk about what attracted you to Shepherd and why you decided to enroll here?
Yeah, I think so. When I first met the Shepherd staff, I was 15 years old. So mm-hmm. I was going to be going to college and as a 16-year-old in August of the following year. So it was May that I first met you guys. And I knew that a big school I was going to kind of get lost in. And I needed that kind of sense of like community and familiarity and just like the ability to make my mark in a community that I felt really proud to be part of. And I still remember the first time that I came to Shepherd, just the sense of like really feeling connected to the faculty that I spoke to there. I think I probably met you. I know I had a long conversation with Dr. Cantrell. Mm-hmm. And I just immediately had this sense of like community and connection in a way that I knew I wasn't going to get in a bigger school. And because I needed that kind of support system, and because I was kind of young, I immediately felt like really drawn to that experience. And then I also think that Shepherdstown is a really cool, unique, inclusive spot in West Virginia. It's like a little oasis of like positivity and love and support and diversity. And that was just really attractive to me as a location.
Great. So let's talk academic programs. You were an English major. How do you feel like your English major helped prepare you for the work you're doing now at Carewell?
Yeah, I think so. When I became an English major, it was because I thought that I wanted to be a writer. I was wrong. I didn't want to be a writer. I hate writing, right? But what I loved was creativity and like building things and like making something that is totally new and drawing connections and doing this really cool higher level of critical thinking. And I think that like that skill, which comes from English, but also comes from a lot of the humanities, is like really critical in a startup environment. So what I'm doing constantly is building new things. So like today I'm thinking about, what does a bonus structure look like for my company? I'm going to build that up from scratch, right? And so I have to have the critical thinking and the ability to do research, to find solutions, and then to build something that's going to work for our unique organization, which is what you're doing constantly as an English major. You're reading different books, you're drawing different connections to like higher level themes and criticisms, and just kind of build something uniquely yours. And that's what I do every single day in a startup and in a business environment.
Yeah. Rhetoric, right? Rhetoric and making it, being persuasive and making things. That's wonderful. Are there unique experiences you had at Shepherd that you feel gave you a boost in your career?
Yeah, I'd say, let me start by saying all of them. So I was really, really lucky to get to do a lot of different stuff at Shepherd. And like, if I had the time, I could list 50 or 60 different amazing experiences that I know that impacted the way that I do work today. I think that my journey really, and where I am today is directly tied to Shepherd. I was a senior. I wasn't really sure where I was going or what I wanted to do. And then I did a couple of things at the same time. I went on alternative spring break. I took a bunch of Appalachian study courses, and then I was working for a community member named Alan Gibson, who's fantastic and who I'll probably talk about later. But alternative spring break taught me that like I really liked helping other people, which seems like of course people like that, but I was a little bit selfish, I think, in college, and I was like, who's going to spend a week of their time on spring break helping other people? But then I did it, and I was like, oh, this is the best thing ever. And so it just kind of created the sense in me of like, I know that I want to do something where I can make other people's lives better. I also took the Appalachian Studies courses where I learned that like, oh, I care a lot about this region in particular, and I care a lot about my background and where I come from in a way that I hadn't before I had ever been to Shepherd. And so those two things come together, and I realized that like I wanted to do something to help Appalachia, or to support like this amazing community that's happening in this space. But I didn't have the skills. So I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't know how to start a nonprofit. I didn't even know what a nonprofit was. And so I knew that I had a lot of growing to do. And so the third thing that happened was I started working for Alan Gibson, who has a small company in Shepherdstown called One Click Chat, which builds video chat largely for older adults. And I realized that like, oh, that's how you do it. Like you build a company and you learn your skills, and you kind of learn all of the ways that you can be a leader when you're working at a startup. And so I started doing a fellowship called Venture for America, which is for people who are kind of like business inclined that want to learn how to build things. And Venture for America led me to Carewell, led me to customer care, and then led me to chief of staff. So like the entire journey of my career up until this point has really been predicated on what happened to me at Carewell, from Shepherd. So that was pretty impactful. And then, I mean, just all the things that I was able to do at Shepherd, like I think I built up a lot of leadership skills at Shepherd and a lot of communication skills that make me able to do my job, right? Like I presented at conferences. I think I hosted my own conference at one point. I was leading a lot of different organizations, and just like learning how to communicate to a group and how to pitch ideas and how to like rally somebody around a concept. All of those things are really critical for me to be able, not just to get into VFA, but then to be able to be in the career that I'm in today. Yeah. That
relationship with Alan Gibson, who is affiliated with Shepherd because of our late provost, Scott Beard, I could see it happening for you. I could see how that unique opportunity that Shepherd gives you to work with people like Alan.
Yeah. It
was so cool to see it open these doors for you. And it was so neat to see Alan realize that's somebody who I can really help. And of course, you helped him too. So that was just such a joy to watch happen. Do you want to talk about other mentors besides Alan, who obviously gets the big props here?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that like I was really fortunate to have a ton of mentors at Shepherd. Like I think I had a very wide support system and a lot of people who really believed in me from the moment that I met Dr. Cantrell when I was 15 years old, showing up at Shepherd's door for the first time. He was fantastic and really like helped me to understand what I was capable of. He was pushing for me to take like 400 level courses my freshman year. And I was like, you're crazy. But then I loved it. And he was totally right. I got to meet and work with Dr. Sherbet, who really helped me embrace my Appalachian roots in a way that I had never done before. It was really honestly transformative for me, not just in my career, but in my experience, like as a person and as a human, to get to have that kind of experience. I talked a little bit already about Alan Gibson, but he literally changed my life. I met him my freshman year of college. He was an adjunct professor at the time, teaching Spanish courses, and he just saw something in me that I didn't even really know that I had, and brought me into his company to start working. And like, if I hadn't done that, I wouldn't be working in a startup today. I wouldn't have done BFA. And then of course, always you, Dr. Hanrahan, just like supporting me. You knew I was going to say it, supporting me and pushing me. And I think that in a lot of ways, you often believed that I was capable of more than I even realized that I was capable of, and just like giving me a lot of ownership to build things the way that I wanted to build them, and empowering me to take risks and try new things. That was really powerful. And I think in a lot of ways, I personally had a really challenging upbringing. I didn't have a lot of family support. I didn't have a lot of financial support. From a really young age, if I wanted something or if I needed something, I had to do it myself. I had to find out how to get a job. I had to find out how to do financial aid. I had to find out how to apply for college. And I was really lucky to have kind of a found family in Shepherd. I remember like my parents didn't come to my capstone, but in the front row was you and Dr. Sherbet and Cantrell. I'm going to get so emotional because it's really powerful for me to have you guys and have that support system through Shepherd. I think that I'll always remember that my mom didn't come to the McMurrin scholarship, but you were there and you gave me a hug. And I know I was getting emotional. I just want to say thank you for doing that. I don't know if you or the Shepherd faculty ever really knew how impactful it was for me to have that family from you guys that I didn't really have outside of the Shepherd environment.
You're very kind, and you did it yourself. And just, the best part of this job is working with students like you. It doesn't feel like a job when you work with students like you. And it's such a privilege. And there's a reason that, when we were told, look for a Shepherd star, I knew you were the one. And of course there are many that we could point to, but there's,
I don't always, anytime Shepherd needs anything, I'm there. like, thank you. I'm so grateful to my experience at Shepherd and you and the entire English faculty. Like, I'm always going to be there kind of as your number one cheerleader, just because it was one of the most impactful things that had ever happened to me in my life, getting to work with Shepherd.
That's wonderful. You're a great ambassador for us. Do you want to, what kind of advice would you offer to someone who's considering coming to Shepherd?
Yeah, I would say go and meet the staff, right? So, that was what kind of did it for me, is like, I think that when you're making the decision about what college you're going to go to, you're thinking about a lot of things. You're thinking about where it's located and how much it costs and the programs that are offered and the degrees that are offered. But I think also it's important to think about the faculty and staff that teach there. Are you going to be able to connect with them? Are there going to be people who are going to be able to support you? And you don't really know that until you go and you have a conversation with them. So that meeting that I went to, I think it was some kind of open house back in March before I came to Shepherd. That's what I knew, because I felt like I had found like a tribe of people that I really trusted and I really liked getting to meet. And so just go and have a conversation with them. And then I will say, like, once you decide, like, regardless, Shepherd or not, once you decide where you're going to school, just always be open to new experiences. I think that, like, I never would have thought that I would be the chief of staff of a rapidly growing startup company that sells adult diapers, essentially. But it's exactly where I want to be. And I can't imagine having a more perfect role for myself. And I wouldn't have known that if I hadn't done everything. Like, I tried everything, and I was just really open to being okay with being wrong about what I thought I wanted out of my life.
Right. Yeah. That's great. That's great advice. As we're talking, I'm remembering all of these things that are connected to you, like when we were in Louisville standing in front of the great big bat at the Louisville Soccer Factory for a conference, right? We were there for the Sigma Tau Delta conference, and at the Harriet Beecher Stowe House in Cincinnati. And I remember your capstone, and I remember your McMurrin, and I remember after that open house when you met Dr. Cantrell, he said to me, "Wait till you meet this student." and that's something you get at Shepherd, that you get somebody who meets you before you even start and is there to watch you walk across the stage and remembers every bit of it. So
I think I was really fortunate to have and I think a lot of students are, the professors really believe in you, right? Like I was given to the extent that I didn't believe in myself nearly as much as I think the professors at Shepherd did. And I couldn't have done anything that I did without knowing that okay, Dr. Hanrahan thinks I can do it, so I can probably do it. Right.
That's right.
That was really powerful.
That's right. Well, let me ask you one last question here. We're doing a campaign this year called I Love Shepherd. Tell us why you love Shepherd.
I love the community of Shepherdstown and how connected it is to Shepherd University. I really love all of the different kind of events and things that happen, and the ability to feel so connected to a sense of place. So that's really important for me. I love the people, the faculty, the staff. I talked about a couple of them on this call, but I was also a math tutor for a while, and I love the math department, right? So in the business department, obviously I was a marketing minor, and I love everybody over there. And I did alternative spring break, so I have a lot of love for Holly Fry. And so I think just in general, the people at Shepherd what make it such a special place. And then kind of selfishly, the location's really good. We're an hour outside of DC and we're in the mountains. That's really cool. So we actually, my husband and I just bought a second house up here. We're actually back in the area again, because I was Shepherdstown is the best area ever in terms of where it's located. You're 3 hours from Philly, you're 5 hours from New York, you're 1 hour from DC, and you're in the mountains, which is really cool. But I love a lot of things about Shepherd.
That's great. That's great. Well, thanks for talking with me. This has been so much fun. And next time you're in town, let's get together, okay?
Yeah, of course.
All right. Thank you. So long.
Bye.